Hello, everyone. Welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. And today we have a extremely thorough breakdown of Nico Minoru, but also of Kitty Pryde and the Phoenix Force. What should you do with Spotlight Caches this week? Buckle in. It's going to be a long video. We're going to cover a lot of different subjects related. And if you're just looking for decks, we have a ton of decks for all of these cards for you to try out. The Kitty and Phoenix Force decks are proven. The Nico decks are obviously not yet, but this is our best for how the card will work and where it will be most effective. Furthermore, if you want some regular proven decks to help climb on ladder, make sure you check back later on this afternoon. We're doing a second video today of how to climb of important decks to help you get better in Snap. We'd like to invite you to subscribe so you don't miss out on that second video later today. We bring you at least 2 new decks every weekday, proven decks that help you climb, that help you get infinite, help you climb in Infinity, get those Infinity borders in Marvel Snap. So make sure you sub, totally free to you, and does nothing but help us out. So if you're willing, we'd greatly appreciate it. Next up, it's our friend Super Tech God's birthday, and in his honor, we are giving away a Magic bundle and a Deadpool bundle. So, firstly, I hope you'll subscribe here if you're going to do the giveaway, but for once, that's not even a requirement. If you don't want to sub here, don't stress it. Hopefully you find value, but hey, we'll live. Go to twitch.tv/supertechgod today at 6 p.m. Eastern. He's going to go all night as long as you're there sometime after 6. All you have to do is follow him and say happy birthday. Some point in the evening, he's going to pull a winner. He'll let me know who that winner is, and we'll make sure you get both the Magic's birthday party bundle, because STG is Magic, and the Year of Marvel Snap Anniversary bundle. All you got to do is go support our friend. We're going to do another giveaway of the exact same 2 bundles later this week. You will be checking out Wolversnap over on YouTube. So if you would like to get a head start on that, feel free. We got to show love to the community because one of us succeeds, we all succeed. The games community grows, the games content creators grow, the game grows. We all have a beautiful game to play for longer. So if you're interested, please check it out. I'd love to give at least one of you guys this bundle. Our card for the day is Nico Minoru, coming out today. At 3 p.m. Eastern, she is a 1/2 Series 5, 6,000 tokens. On reveal, after you play your next card, cast a spell. The spell changes each turn. When she's in your hand, not when she's played. When she's played, the spell remains the exact same as it is. Next slide is all the spells. So after you play your next card, after it's on reveal's trigger, it becomes a demon. After you play your next card, after it's on reveal's trigger, destroy it to draw 2. After you play your next card, move it to the right. After you play your next card, it gains +2 power. After you play your next card, replace the card's location. Think Scarlet Witch. After you play the next card, add a copy of it to your hand. And after you play a card, double this card's power. The quotation marks on this are mine. So this has to be Nico based on the fact that what's happening to the cards all the other time. Like the card is referred to as it or just nothing. While this has to be Nico. So Nico's going to get +2. Let's talk before we go forward. This is going to be hard to use. It's got clear synergies. We'll get to those later, but this is going to be hard to use. If you are the type of person who has trouble with Bounce and Thanos, Nico is going to be frustrating for you to play with. You're going to have to be patient. You're going to spend a lot of games just sort of not playing her. When you play her, though, she could be back-breaking and game-winning. Numerous of these abilities are extremely strong. Notably, destroy to draw 2 is extraordinarily strong. Let's say that's a hood, or becomes a demon, which is a demon that makes a demon. Add a copy of it to your hand. It could be extremely powerful because, I don't know, Elsa Bloodstone is a card. One of the most powerful things you can do in Marvel Snap right now is double Elsa Bloodstone. Replace the card location will occasionally win a game. There's cards like Mysterio that +2 power for is completely busted. You see what I mean? Like, there's a lot to like here. We are one of that location that gives +2 to all cards in hand from double this card's power, making this a 1/8, which is pretty damn nice. Or a bounce where it becomes a 1/8. Like, there's a lot to like here, right? But finding the time to do any of this stuff is going to be a challenge. It's not going to be easy. So it's worth remembering that, like, how do I put this? She's not a card that you can play and forget. She's not a card that you just put in decks and don't think about how to use. She's a card you put into play, and you have to keep track of what spells are coming. Spells don't repeat. So, like, you have to keep track of what spell has appeared so that you're, like, trying to plan for something good, and you're just trying to, like, sort of play off curve, almost like a high evolutionary for that one extra energy when you really, excuse me, when you really need it. All that said, these effects are super strong. So, like, there's almost certainly some value here. How much that matches up with her frustration is what we're waiting to see. Okay. Each spell has its own piece of art, so this is just the art. I figured it's worth looking at. Some of this is great, right? I don't love the little cross, but I love the demon. I like the two cards. The arrow right is a little silly, but fine. I don't love the two times, the question mark, I guess, or the Redler now. And then there's just a reverse cross. I guess they sort of ran out of ideas, but like, all right, cool. I'm glad the spells all have their own art. It's a nice touch, right? Let's see how this is actually integrated in the UI, I guess. We'll find out together in a few hours. All right, let's take a look at variants. I know some people buy cards based on what variants are out there. Nico has some of the best variants in the game. We've got Marco. I don't want to try and butcher his last name, but it's an extremely difficult for a native English speaker to say last name. As this gorgeous Nico that is a super rare and will be in all of our shops tomorrow, that I am probably not buying despite it being really good. Anka's not 1018. We don't have a date for Anka. I don't know why 1018 is there, but it's a rare, and it is the Runaways variant, and I think it's really great. That I might buy if it came up. Um, there's a possibility I open for the Night Forged one. I do like it a lot. I bet you that all that looks great animated. I might wait for Super Tech God. Super Tech God has every variant in the game, and so we'll obviously get this. So I might wait for Super Tech God to open this Nico and get it animated before I decide. But it is really, really nice, and we'll talk about why I might want those variants for this one in particular in a little bit. But these are the two I want. We've got the Firaxis Midnight Suns one. I think that's beautiful. The black and gold is perfect. It feels like the character. And then my single favorite is the Peach Momoko, which has a little bit of DC's depth to it, but is just like phenomenal art. It feels so much like the character, the like colored hair, everything. Like they could put this in a big old bundle and get my money. This is the one I really, really want. So I will happily buy either of these. I'm probably going to save up for when either of these show up in the shop, and that will be my Nico variant. But I'm not. Yeah, these are just gorgeous. Nico is some of the best variant art, top to bottom in the game. Like probably not as good as Storm, who's like the gold standard for every variant is good, but not that far behind. We have our two spotlight variants. We have a Hip Phoenix Force and a I think this is Momoko also, Kitty Pryde. Um, I'm opening for these straight up. I bought the Pro bundle. I've got all these extra caches. I have 56,000 tokens. That doesn't mean you should, but I want another kitty. I have two kitties, one of my favorite cards in the game. Phoenix Force is one of my favorite cards in the game. Dan Hip is my favorite artist. I'm almost certainly, like, we'll see if, like, fiscal responsibility suddenly overtakes my soul, but, like, I'm probably opening for these. I don't even especially like this Hip Phoenix Force, to be honest. I just love Phoenix Force, and so I feel like I should have it. All right, synergies for Nico. Before we'll get back to those two cards, the Kitty and the Phoenix Force, by the end of the video, I promise. Synergies are Thanos, move cards, destroy cards, and bounce cards. I think it's interesting to note that destroy and move are Phoenix Force and bounce is Kitty, and they are in the spotlight caches. It feels like they're sort of saying, hey, if you would like to make Nico Minoru good, these are the cards to play it with. I don't think that's an accident. That +2 power is fantastic for Kitty, for example, or Phoenix Force. The move to the right is great for Phoenix Force, etc., etc., etc. All these really powerful things that can be done with both of these cards, I think, are part of the reason that this is here. All right, our first deck um for Nico is Deadpool Minoru. This is from Canadian Alfredo, Marvel Snap Zone writer like myself. I wanted to feature his brew. I'd probably cut Hulkbuster for America just for a greater chance at seeing Deadpool on one, but Nico has several spells that work really great with Deadpool. The Destroy to draw two with Deadpool is fantastic. The +2 power with Deadpool is fantastic. I think that's kind of it. The change location has some limited value with Deadpool. We're gonna go back. I'm not gonna like try and guess here. Um, the add a copy of it to your hand is fantastic as well. You don't really want to make Deadpool a demon, but the other abilities are awesome with Deadpool, and like that's really what you're trying to do. You can make Forge get the +2, and then make Forge be a demon, which seems pretty good. Same basic concept for something like Carnage. You can play and immediately destroy and draw two on Wolverine or X-23. You don't really hate just destroying Killmonger to draw two either, because that's all just food for Null. Um, there's a lot to like here, right? Like this seems like one of the easiest, most straightforward homes for Nico. Deadpool is really good right now because armor is not in. Next up, we have Loki Nico. This is my brew of it. I basically just took a Loki deck with a bunch of ones, and figured out what one I wouldn't want. It's probably actually Agent 13 goes over Maria Hill, but you get the idea here. You play the ones. The collector, Angela, Bishop get big. You falcon them back to hand. And you can roam with Elsa, and then occasionally you Loki and just get free wins that way. Nico says, okay, well, I don't care if that Bast or that Agent 13 get destroyed. Absolutely. I'll take two extra cards. Thanks very much. That seems good with Loki. +2 power on something like Kitty is great. Dropping a card on Angela and then moving it off to the right seems pretty damn good as a way to get extra power. So you can also use that as an extra way to get power with Elsa. I think almost everything just sort of works for this. If your Bast, after it gives +2 to your hand, becomes a demon, you're pretty damn happy. You don't hate if your Nico gets +2 to be bounced to then become a 1/4 that gets another spell, right? Like there's so much to like here. There's so many different powerful things that you can do with Nico in this deck. I think that this is one of her better homes. This and Bounce, right, are some of her better homes. I really, really, really that destroy to draw two Loki. Speaking of Bounce, this is the standard Bounce list. This is the Lambie list. I basically put Nico in over America. I'm aware that he would yell at me for that. So hopefully Lambie doesn't watch so he doesn't yell at me about this. But I think that like America is fine to be cut because you really kind of have to play Iron Man last turn at this point because Rogue is every freaking where. But if you're playing Iron Man last turn, you can play a bunch of ones the turn before with your hit monkey, right? Two ones and a hit monkey is still reasonable, especially if you can get 1 to 0, because there's not as much Mobius as you would think with Beast, and it ends up working out relatively well. At that point, you've got Nico, hopefully for a +2 on Iron Man or a +2 on hit monkey or something. And if not, you play Nico on turn 4, you're still like totally fine, right? You can destroy a Mysterio clone or give all your Mysterios, I believe it would work that way, +2 power. At the end of the day, all of that is absolutely stellar. I think Nico is probably better in the Loki deck because she has that extra, the draw has extra use. But look, destroying a hood or turning a hood into a demon here is going to be great. Falconing back everything and then that becoming a demon is going to be super strong, right? There's a lot to like here. There's a lot of powerful plays. We got Nico move. This is a standard move list. I'm using Nico as just an extra Iron Fist here, really. Um, it doesn't have any other major synergy except that +2 is really, really great. And so can the location change, right? That +2 on multiple men, Human Torch, or Vulture is sometimes backbreaking. And basically what you want to do is you want to pile some stuff up on Craven, then push it to the side, right? And then you can like double up your Shuri Heimdall or double up your Vision or whatever and use that to win another lane. And your Vulture, Human Torch, um, multiple men are big enough from moving around that you have enough power elsewhere on the board. Nico's basically just an extra forge here, right? But that extra move might come in handy, right? Like you punch to the right, you drag it to the left with Ghost Spider. That seems like it's probably pretty decent, especially if Craven is in one of those spots. There's, again, things to do, ways to play this where it works out really, really, really with Nico. Nico's probably decent in the Shuri Kitty list. Again, he's mostly an extra forge here. Um, excuse me, is mostly an extra forge here. But hey, an extra forge isn't bad in a deck that really wants forge, right? So having an extra forge isn't bad at all. Um, I'm not sure what happens when destroy a card and draw two cards happens in armor and it can't be destroyed. I'm curious if you destroy the two cards anyway. This is a deck to test that out in, and if not, you can always just play Forge and blow Forge up. Turning Forge into a demon is not half bad. If you know your opponent in a conquest game doesn't have Shadow King, Luke Cage is really great fodder for things. There's a lot of ways to do things that you'd like to do with Nico in this deck. Next up, we've got Juno Tutris, our new friend who you should check out on Twitch, uh, playing Technical Death. The stones are fantastic fodder for Nico. You turn a stone into draw one, then draw two. That's five. That's plus three cards. That seems pretty damn good. You give a stone plus two power. It's pretty damn good. You turn a stone into a demon. All these things are nice. Nico is a nice extra kill for Killmonger that you can feel free for, or Lady Deathstrike. The plus two power is great on Professor X or Lady Deathstrike. If you can get it there, there's nothing not to like about running Nico in this deck. I think that she's very likely going to find a home in Thanos Destroy because she does like five different things that the deck wants, and that seems like it's probably to the deck's benefit, right? If you can play Nico on one to get it destroyed to draw two on two, you're gonna see Psylocke or Timestone a lot more often. You're gonna see Professor X, you're gonna see Lady Deathstrike. When you see those cards, you win the game. So I think that this is a natural home for the card. And we have the standard, current standard Johnson version that I threw Nico into. Um, I basically just took one of the swing slots and said, okay, what happens with Nico? And I'm very curious what happens with Nico and Cosmo, right? Like, does Nico's on reveal take priority before Cosmo? Because her on reveal happens sort of when she's played. We're going to have to wait and see. If that works, it's going to be a very powerful combo. I like the look of this one as well. Again, like the Destroy Draw 2, I think is one of my favorite things, and I want to be able to take advantage of it. And Psylocke added to the stones is a really great way to do that. I'm also very curious, no one knows the answer to this yet, how Iron Lad works with Nico. So if you Iron Lad Nico and the next card you play is a spell, and that's Nico for a different spell, like that's how I assume that works. Let's see. Um, yeah, it's gonna be good. I think Nico is really, really strong on Thanos. So my favorite homes so far are Loki and the two Thanos decks, I think. Let's go again. This is where I really want her. I think she's incredible in Phoenix Force. Um, I think basically everything she does works really, really, really well with Phoenix Force. A quick destroy for Human Torch or Multiple Man is great. Um, plus two power on either of those cards or Nimrod is great. Um, like just drawing more cards is amazing and gets you your combos more often. Doubling her own power isn't really going to hurt with a Venom out there. Getting another copy of a powerful card seems really, really good. Um, you play her and then you build something else and then you Phoenix Force, right? And now you've got a second Phoenix Force to play, for example. Um, I don't know. That seems like it's probably pretty freaking good in Marvel Snap, right? Um, the punch to the right when it's Phoenix Force is great. Also doesn't seem half bad with Nimrod if they like armor your Shuri lane. You then I mean I guess you're losing your buff at that point. So like you'd have to use Ghost Spider for that. Sorry, I guess that's not a good play. But you can punch your Nimrod out later if you need to. Um Location changes always have value and power. This is like the home. This, by the way, is Spyro's deck. Spyro was top 50 last season with this. I think it's a little worse than it was now and probably needs some like meta adjustments. It was running Ghost Spider to avoid Alioth, and it's running Zola as a way to like sort of double Human Torch. So it can 100% still do that, right? But I'm not sure if Zola is still needed or if that's not better as Taskmaster now or whatever else. It's worth looking into and messing with a little bit and reconsidering some spots in this deck. Oh, sorry. Nico here is literally just replacing Forge, by the way. This is my single favorite home. This is where I'm going to start playing her, just for the record. I think this is great. All right, does Nico look good? So I don't think so. I just don't. I think that like she's going to be too finicky to be super consistent. But I think there's also a reasonable chance I'm wrong. They put her with two of the cards she works best with. Best with. Excuse me. Sorry, one of my students messaged me. Uh, They put her with cards that she works best with, which suggests they want her to work. And if they're putting her with these cards and saying play her with these cards, it probably works with these cards. So maybe. Like, she does seem really cool and strong. But so did Ghost, and OG Snowguard is the closest to her design, and a lot of people were like, this is going to be good, wait for it. And that never was. So, like, this is probably the single most weight, like, until the end of the week or longer, and C card that's ever existed. Because this could be anything from, like, the second coming of Legion in terms of unexpected power to the second coming of Ghost to oops, don't play it. So, like, give this one a couple days, I think, but there's more to it because we also have our other cards. The first of which we're going to talk about is the Phoenix Sports, which is Series 5, 6,000 tokens, a former season pass card, as a 5/6, by the way. It's on reveal or revive when your destroyed cards and merge with it. That card can move each turn. The first thing to know, and I'm going to mention this several times, is Phoenix Force is bugged with clones or copies of itself, which is an issue for multiple man. If it moves as multiple man, the multiple man copies can't move. This is a known bug confirmed by Glenn Jones on our podcast last week. So, like, that should be fixed at some point. At the second that's fixed, that Phoenix deck we just looked at is like a tier 1 deck. Cool. As it is now, it's still a really powerful and fun thing to do. Again, I love Phoenix Force, one of my favorite cards in Marvel Snap. I think it's both fun and powerful and really hard, and both fun, powerful, and really hard to stop. Both doesn't work in the sense. Be wary of Shadow King. Shadow King punches Phoenix Force in the face, but short of that, almost everything else this does is very good. All right, this is the deck we looked at 2 minutes ago, except with Forge in the spot that Nico is in. So you don't like need Nico, right? Like, Forge does a similar enough job. Forge may even be better just because it's more consistent in the deck. This one is, again, the Spyro version. I know this is Safety who built this one I grabbed, but this is the Spyro version of the deck, and it is great. It's one of my favorite things. It doesn't have a super high win rate, unless you're really good with it, though. So, like, there is, like, a serious skill cap to this deck. We have Phoenix Move. This is my attempt at a move deck with Phoenix Force, like a more move heavy deck. It's basically saying I can Red Skull Taskmaster as my backup plan here, and I've also got Heimdall as like a way to just say, okay, so I got my Phoenix Force going last turn. It's got like all these big multiple men all over the place. I can move my Phoenix Force all the way to the right, and then I can just push it to the left, and then there's just a ton of power everywhere. It's very, very powerful. It's a really strong thing to do, and a great way to win with Phoenix Force and surprise opponents. You also still have the Arnhem Zola play. You have America for consistency, et cetera, et cetera. Versions of this often run She-Hulk over America, so that if you get She-Hulk going, you can go past 5 and then drop She-Hulk and Taskmaster on 6. It's cute. I don't like it as much, but it's a thing to do to win games of Snap, right? And that's kind of the goal here. But this is another really, really fun way to play Phoenix. This is one of my most successful homebrews ever. It's called Kitchen Sink. Um, it's a conquest deck. It dominates conquest and is kind of mid on ladder because you need to know what your opponent's doing to know what game plan to play. This combines basically all the other game plans and says, okay, so I can go Shuri Nimrod or Shuri Red Skull, or I can go destroy into Phoenix Force, and any of those work well. And your opponent sort of can't really play around all of them in Conquest and ends up sort of flustered and just losing. The card this most miss straight up is Ghost Spider. Ghost Spider is excellent in these decks, and this version does not have room for it. But that said, this is really, really strong. If you're not seeing a lot of armor, Ghost Spider or Alioth armor, that's not really like super needed, and you should just win the damn game anyway. Kitty Pryde is our next card. Series 5, 6,000 tokens. Kitty Pryde was released, for anyone who doesn't know it, as a very different card, and it didn't work at all. It like crashed the game. So they pulled it back, and then when they put it back in the game, they gave it to everyone who was playing at the time. So a lot of people watching will already have Kitty Pryde. You will know a lot of people that had Kitty. Kitty Pryde also started off as a card that got +2, 1/0 that got +2 every time it returned to hand. Then it became a 1/2 that got +1 every time it returned to hand. And then it was nerfed yet again down to a 1/0 that gets +1 and returns to hand. It's still one of the best cards in the game. With Glenn Jones, with Den, we decided it was the top one drop in the game. This card is must have if you don't have it. It's an enabler for an absolutely sick number of decks. I think I put Kitty Pryde in more decks than every other card. Except maybe Elsa. Elsa's kind of OP right now, but that's neither here nor there. All right. We've got Elsa move. Guess what? It runs Kitty. Kitty is an amazing enabler for Angela. It's an amazing enabler to keep Silk moving, to bounce on and off Craven and so on without like filling up board spots. It also gets that Elsa, wears that Elsa buff really well and becomes like a 1/6, 1/7 pretty quickly. That's a lot of power, and then you win the game. I think this is likely my pick for current best deck in Snap. Maybe with Mobius in it, maybe not. But well, I mean, almost certainly without Miles in it. But this version has Miles in it. It's a couple of weeks old now. But either way, this is like one of the highest win percentage decks in the game, and one of the most important reasons to have Kitty Pryde right now. We've got Lambie Rogues also. Lambie is again arguably the best player in the game, and he runs Kitty in this classic version of Bounce. This is an amazing ladder deck, not quite as good in Conquest, but an amazing ladder deck that can put like 60 power in a lane with Iron Man, then put like 28 in another lane and just say, "Come get me." It's a good thing. It's a very powerful thing. The Demon, Mysterio, the Bishop. There's an absolute ton of ways to put a ton of power on the board. Don't sleep on this deck. It's one of Kitty's best homes. You've also got Thor Miracle, yet another Kitty deck. It runs Kitty for the same reasons as everything else. This one wants to basically, at the end of the game, drop a Jane, get a Mjolnir, Yellow Jacket, and Wasp to add to the board that are going to pump Bishop and pump Hitmonkey. And then, like, Kitty is just a card to trigger Bishop and Angela throughout the game. And again, because of Elsa, it can get quite big throughout the game. This is a fantastic deck. Evazor to put Kitty and Loki. We all put Kitty and Loki, let's be honest. This is the version that he won a major tournament with recently. It's glorious. Kitty, you'll never guess, triggers Angela, wears the Elsa buff, and is just generally really powerful. It's a card that you can choose if it's at like 2 or 3 power to chuck with Loki, and a card that if it's already at like 6 power because of Elsa, you can keep it and then just Loki on 4 and it stays on your board. It's awesome. Next up, we have Elsie Kitty Shuri. This is one of the more build around Kitty decks where you try and get Forge and Hulkbuster on Kitty and Bloodstone it multiple times, but you can also just play a fairly honest game, honest in quotes, with Shuri Red Skull Taskmaster or Shuri or Elsa Vision, and then you can go from there. There's a lot of ways to win. There's real argument for this being one of the best decks in Marvel Snap right now. All right, conclusion time. If you have Elsa, you need Kitty. Like if you have Elsa open for Kitty, even if Elsa's getting nerfed, you should have Kitty. If you don't have Elsa, do you need Kitty? Less clear. I think I'd still err on the side of getting her. I'm the wrong person to ask about the Phoenix Force, because I love it so much. I want it, but I don't think everyone needs it unless that bug is fixed. If the bug for Multiple Man is fixed, this is immediately a medical. So I think I'd open for Kitty if I didn't have Kitty, and if I get other stuff on the way, awesome. Phoenix Force less so. I don't think I'd open for Phoenix Force unless you have inside knowledge I don't about the bug getting fixed. And I think Nico is wait and see. Unless she's one of your favorite characters, because Runaways is amazing, and she's a lot of people's favorite character. That's it for today. Well, excuse me. That's it for this video. I will be back this afternoon with another video. Don't forget, if you want that Magic Birthday bundle and the Deadpool Anniversary bundle, go say happy birthday to my boy Super Tech God on Twitch this evening. Don't forget to check back later today. Sub, hit those notifications, like, comment. We appreciate you. Sub, you won't miss out. We got lots going on, more giveaways, more great decks, more support for the community. Peace.